Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montavilla Sewing Center, and today we're going to talk about the maintenance on your Juki TL-18QVP. Now, it's important to maintain it, to keep it well oiled, to keep the lint out of it so that you can have a pleasant sewing experience, and your machine will last a good long time for you. So first of all, in your accessories, you have a bottle of oil like this. This is sewing machine oil. You want to make sure you only use sewing machine oil in your machine, not other kinds of oil. There are oiling points. You have 4 of them on the top, here, 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 and here. 2 of them on the bed of the machine, here and here. And then over here, take out your bobbin case, and there's a hook that comes around, and this is the hook that grabs the top thread right there. You see that hook? So you'd put a drop of oil right there, and that's going to help oil the bobbin area. You can actually do more than 1 drop of oil, but because you're using plenty of oil, once you have that done, thread up your machine, get a piece of waste fabric and run it through there just to make sure you're not getting oil on your project. You want to get it onto the fabric. If you sew a bunch, like every day, you may want to oil your machine every day. If it's been a long time since you've used your machine, go ahead and oil it and run some waste fabric through it, just like I described, and then your machine should be good to go. Where you store your machine is important. You don't want to store your machine where it's going to be like in a hot attic where all the oil will get all kind of drained down away from where it needs to be, or in a cold, damp basement. For one thing, the dampness can be hard on the metal parts of your machine, and the coldness can cause your the oil to kind of coagulate, and you don't want to have that happen either. So keep your machine, store it in a place where you would be comfortable. So in your sewing room is fine. And when you're not using your machine, put that cover over it that came with your machine, or sew yourself a nice cute cover. It will keep the dust out of the various parts of the machine and keep your machine working well. Now, it's important to change that needle every now and then. And also, we can clean lint out of the machine by taking off the needle plate. So first of all, I'm going to take the needle out of there, straight down, off to the side, put it off to the side like that. Take the foot off of here. And if you're at all concerned about safety, as far as the machine actually accidentally starting up, what you can do is just disconnect your foot control. You can do that. That way, if the kitty cat comes and sits on the foot control, it's not going to start sewing. So, but with this out of the way, now we can get to the needle plate area. Use a little more torque by using the side of that T end of the screwdriver, and see the needle and the presser foot are out of the way. By the way, some of you might be wondering, what's this little thing here? Well, this is here to attach optional accessories. Like say you had a particular seam guide that you wanted to always have on there. There's probably other accessories that you can get. That's what this thing is for. You can see there's threaded screw holes right there. All right, so we're going to take this off of here. And these screws are fairly short, so once they are up high enough, and this the needle plate you can see is on kind of a spring. Once they're up high enough, you can just undo these with your fingers. Now, I would suggest not just leave them on the table so they don't fall off and fall down the heat register. Put them in something, like you're in your sewing basket or something like that. So now we can take this off of here. And we can clean in between the feed dogs, which is especially important. If you've been sewing with flannel or with batting, you want to clean in between the feed dogs, because that's where that lint is going to build up. And if enough lint builds up, then the feed dogs are not going to work. They're not going to be able to pull your fabric along very well. So here we can clean this out really good like this, and then reattach. See, it's kind of on a spring. That's because it has to do with that little door. Goes back on there. Put these things on here. Yeah, there we go. And machine maintenance like this is something that you can and should do on a regular basis. Every time you change your needle, if your needle's worn out or dull or whatever, it might be a good idea to also take off the needle plate and clean any lint out of there. But also, if you know for sure you've been sewing something that's kind of fuzzy, you want to get that lint out of there. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not in there. So it's better to clean it a little bit more often than not often enough. Okay, so to put your needle back in, we have the flat side of the needle. Now in this machine, the flat side of the needle is going to go to your right. So if we were following the safety instructions, we'd have the machine off, but you know what? I've got the foot control disconnected, so I'm not too concerned here. Okay, make sure that when you put your needle in that it's all the way up to the stopper. That's important because if it's hanging down a little bit, it could actually damage your machine by hitting something underneath. So it's got to be all the way up. You'll be able to feel it's all the way up to the stopper. And then take and tighten this up a little bit more, just so that it's screwdriver tight. Not just finger tight, but screwdriver tight. Same thing with the foot. We put this on here, start out using our fingers to tighten the screw. Make sure, again, that this is pushed all the way up. That little U-shaped piece on the foot is all the way up there. Tighten that by hand, and then tighten it by the screwdriver a little bit more. Now, there is one more little access hatch for this machine to clean it. Now, I'm going to show you that. First of all, I'm going to turn this off, put this down, and I'm going to turn it onto its back. So right here, you have a little access hatch where you can vacuum out lint. Now, I'm saying use a vacuum like a crevice tool on your vacuum. Don't use that canned air that you see, that little puffs of canned air, for two reasons. First of all, canned air tends to blow stuff further back in your machine instead of pulling it out, which is what you want to do. And secondly, in my experience, canned air tends to leave frost on things if you spray it long enough. Frost is moisture, and moisture is a big no-no for any kind of machine or whatever you have that has metal parts in it. You don't want to have any frost in there. So use your crevice tool and combination of crevice tool and brush, and you can get your lint out of there and your extra little bits of thread and stuff like that. It's really nice to have this extra little access hatch right there. I'm just going to put that back in, tip this back upright. And that's the basic maintenance that you would want to do on your machine. It's also a good idea to bring it here to Montavilla Sewing Center, say maybe once a year, kind of depending on how often you use your machine. But if you use it a lot, it's always a good idea to bring your sewing machine in, have them check it in, and go over the maintenance and just make sure everything's working well for you. And you'll have, it's kind of like your car. You spend a little extra money to make sure everything's working right, and it's going to go the distance for you, and this machine will. So thanks for watching this video. If this was helpful for you, give us a thumbs up in the little area down below. You can also leave us comments and questions if you would like. We have other videos on this machine and on other machines, so take a look at some of those. Thanks for watching. Bye.